Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we have a very interesting topic to discuss. Right off the bat, I just want to say I encourage you to watch through this video until the end. I know that's a big ask considering how long it is, but this is going to be quite the rabbit hole dive of a video, and it'll really only begin to make sense if you hear the full context, so I hope to see you at the comment section in the end with your thoughts. Okay, so this actually came from a viewer on the channel who commented on one of my videos recently asking if I had any insight into a rumor they'd heard regarding Season 7. Now, I'm not going to shout this person out because I didn't consult with them about making a video on this topic, but if you're out there, you know who you are. Feel free to comment if you don't mind being made public, and I will absolutely pin your tweet because full credit to you for bringing this concept to my attention. Now, I want to preface this from the very start. This subject that we're going to talk about is a rumor at best, and at worst, it's a misinformed idea. Basically, the person who brought this up said they've heard multiple creators talking about this rumor regarding Season 7, but neither them nor the ones who shared it have any sources or evidence, and it's kind of a wild idea. So take all of this information with a massive, massive grain of salt. We're going to discuss a rumor, but more than anything, this idea has sparked my speculation engine, so it's better to treat this as a fun little speculation video. Alright? Perfect. Really quickly before we dive in, I have two quick announcements to share with you all. One is that announced yesterday by Sergeant Greybeard, I'm going to be in his third upcoming installment of Diplomats of the Division. If you don't know Greybeard, he is a fellow Division content creator who produces some really wonderful content aimed at helping the community and acclimating newer players to the experience, and I was honored that he would consider me to be on this discussion-based platform that he's created. So if you want a good 55-minute podcast-like discussion of us talking about Division and content creation, then absolutely go check it out when it drops later this week. I'll provide updates on my community tab and on Twitter for when that goes live. And second announcement, I'm now on TikTok. You may have seen my community tab post about this already, but in case you missed it, there you go. I'm well aware that TikTok is, it might not align with a lot of my demographic on here, but more than anything, I joined on there to try and expand the RogueGold and Division brand, frankly. So if you have the app and you want to support me, then I would greatly appreciate you stopping by and dropping a follow. My username is @Rogue_Gold. The link to that and my Twitter, for that matter, are in the description and on my channel info page. Come to think of it, my Twitter handle is also @Rogue_Gold, but if TikTok isn't your thing, don't worry about it. You should follow me on Twitter, though, if you have that. That's where you'll get the most up-to-date info on, like, developer comments and whatnot. But yeah, those are the announcements. Thank you for sticking with me. Let's dive into this wild Season 7 theory. So, the person who brought this to my attention laid out a rumor they've heard circulating, and again, we're just going to extrapolate and speculate on the idea of this rumor. I'm not even saying it has a moderate chance of coming true. The idea of it is simply fun to think about, and that is that there's apparently a rumor going around with Division 2's second lease on life that Yannick and his team at Massive have gone back and altered the events and outcome of Season 4, which is now currently rerunning as Season 7. At face value, that's what the rumor is. Now, at first glance, that might seem like a pretty iffy concept, but after I read it a few times, some gears began spinning in my head, and I think the idea of this would actually make a whole lot of sense. That still doesn't mean it's likely to happen at all, but let's discuss. First, I want to jump back into the history classroom quickly to give a recap of how we ended up with the original lackluster Season 4 ending that we did, because I don't know how many people are aware of the full context. Most of this is alleged, but it comes from good sources. So supposedly what happened is that the majority of Seasons 1 through 4's development was done in the weeks and months before Warlords of New York dropped, which was in March of 2020, when Massive, had their full size and strength of their development team. Now, it makes sense that Season 4 would have been the least done by the time Warlords launched because it was the furthest one out. And then after Warlords dropped is when things began to change. Not only did the pandemic hit, basically right as Warlords came out, which we all know significantly hindered the game development, industry across the globe, but Massive themselves stated that it was specifically impacting the voice work for the Division 2 seasons, and we saw that transpire in the delay of some of Season 2's comms being available once that came out. But it wasn't just that. A large portion of the Division 2's team was pulled shortly after Warlords' release to go begin working on Star Wars. Drew, Thylander, Julian, and countless others that I'm sure we never knew publicly. And on top of that, in the weeks and months following Warlords was when UB initially decided that Division 2 was going to stop receiving updates after Season 4, before they saw the incredible sales that Warlords did and changed their mind. So those three big compounding factors really did put a lot of stress on Season 4's development, and that's what a lot of the behind-the-scenes whispers have suggested. The leading rumor, kind of not a rumor, is that Massive had very different plans originally for Season 4's events and outcome, and that they themselves were very disheartened by how it turned out. And yes, there is evidence that this was originally supposed to play out differently. One example being, in the trailer we got, there's a shot of our agent punching Faye out near the cabin at White Oak, and clearly we never got that or even encountered her in that area. And this makes sense as to why it occurred because of all of those reasons I just listed. If you're losing significant amounts of your development power every update that passes, and funding is shrinking, and you're heading towards development shutting down, and the pandemic is making voice work and general development harder, it's not too much of a stretch to see why Season 4 was impacted so heavily. And so that's how we got to February of this year, where we got to experience the lackluster finale to Season 4 and the Greater Warlords of New York storyline. And it wasn't until sometime late last year or early this year that Yannick and his team were told by UB, hey, never mind, we were just joking, you can continue Division 2 development and we'll give you UB Bucharest's manpower to help out. So I'm sure that felt great for them, but they were still stuck with this about-to-release tragedy that they were most likely very unhappy with. So what this rumor is suggesting is that they've actually gone back and used this time and a portion of this new development power to rewrite the events and outcome of Season 4. And the question has to be asked, does that make logical sense for them to do? And like I said, it took me a few times to read it over, but yeah, I actually think it would. Let's assume, and this is a big assumption, but let's briefly assume this is true, that Season 7 is going to bring us changes to Season 4's original events and conclusion. I would imagine these changes would be contained to Faye's final mission only. I mean, that's all you have to change. Really, the subtargets were no better or worse than any other seasons. In fact, I remember Cersei and Bridget, I think her name was, their comms were pretty interesting. They had some unique details that not all the other ones did. So if you're just changing the voice work, gameplay, and outcome of one main mission is all you're going to have to change to have the chance to fix all of that disappointment of Faye's ending and her death. And when you think about it, that's really not that big of an ask, given the amount of time they'll have had by the time that this would re-unlock for Season 7. Now, the question also certainly needs to be asked, why would they spend their time and resources doing this beyond the personal desires the devs may have to correct their mistreatment of Faye's character? Well, like I said earlier, this is where I begin to connect a few dots in my head. We know there's plans for future seasons, at least loosely. Yannick alluded to that early this year when we were getting out, the first details about Year 3's content, and more seasons means that there's going to be at least a general continuation of the story. Now, if you think about it, when they were deciding on how to approach Season 4's original development under those constraints that we previously talked about, it's not that crazy to think that part of their reasoning might have been, well, we've already been told that Division 2 was done after Season 4, that was the reality at the time, so there was probably a legitimate possibility that any storylines they leave incomplete might never get resolved, unless we were to see a Division 3 one day several years down the road, but that could be a big maybe. So that's entirely a possibility, and I wouldn't fault them for it, that they figured, hey, we can't do the original plan we had for Faye's mission, how about we do an ending that is going to suck for us and the players, but at least it's within our capacity to create, and it'll complete the storyline. No loose ends. That way we're not risking the chance of never being able to wrap this story up. Because it's true, Season 4's ending is very definitive. It's a definitively shit ending, but a definitive one nonetheless. Faye's dead, her threat is gone, and we were not questioned for our involvement in killing the president, as so many had predicted might happen in the months leading up to it. But now, the story is presumably going to continue in some capacity, and if all it takes to get back on track to that original vision they once had is altering and modifying one main mission, I would say that's not too bad of a price to pay, and I'm going to take this one step further and lay out how I think this could actually lay the groundwork for how we're going to see them announce and market the upcoming update or expansion. I've said before that I still believe the coming content will be in a free update, that's what's been suggested thus far, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility that it could be another paid expansion, though I still have my doubts. But as we know, we're getting later and later into the year, and we still have no concept of when we're going to hear about this supposed late 2021 content. But what if that's purposeful? We know that Warlord's success was the principal factor in UB making a 180 on their decisions regarding the Division 2, and what did Warlords have? A short and intense marketing campaign. They only announced the expansion a month before its release, and you know what else they did? They piqued player interest by releasing TU7 and Episode 3's content the day after, I want to say, of when they did the big reveal, and what was Episode 3? It was a big old prologue for Warlords. Do you see where I'm going with this? The final subtarget for Season 7, Cersei, which would unlock the Man Up mission for the first time if this was a new season, unlocks on November 9th of this year, as the Season 7 calendar informed us a few days back. I've previously predicted that we're going to get Division 2's new content around December 7th, or perhaps the 14th, for a bit less competition with Halo Infinite, as some of you have pointed out to me. Imagine we get into early November, Cersei's unlock is coming up, and all of a sudden we get a little tweet from the Division account. Hey agents, tune in Wednesday, November 3rd for a special broadcast. And then lo and behold, Yannick and his glorious beard show up on the morning of the 3rd for the long-awaited return as state of the game, where we get a full rundown of the Year 3 content we've so desperately been waiting for. And part of that announcement stream would be, hey guys, be sure to check out the Faye mission on the 9th after the weekly maintenance. Even if you did it back in Season 4, there may be a few surprises awaiting you. And surprise, surprise, you jump back in and the events have changed. Maybe Faye doesn't die, or we confront her differently, or the Black Tusk do pin us for Ellis's death. Who knows? The point is, whatever they would potentially do, this now alters the story setup for the following seasons. And just like that, they've perfectly mimicked the winning formula they had from the Warlords of New York's marketing. They have, a smaller in-game event to bring people back in and raise their interest, and then just start pumping the marketing for the new update or expansion that's now only a month away. Would it be a risky play? Oh god, yes it would be. If we're waiting until November for information, then people's patience is going to be stretched to its limit. But seeing as we're into September and we still have nothing, it honestly doesn't seem, all that unrealistic. And if the team is confident in the content that we're receiving in this update, then maybe a strategy like this is what they need to pry enough attention away from other major releases in quarter 4. And again, why did they skip season 2 in the season reruns? Why not go chronologically? Was it a random decision? Or perhaps it's because they wanted season 4 to be the last thing leading up to this new content and the new season? Okay. I know, everyone, I know. That's a whole lot of potential scenarios and what-if situations and assumptions being made. I did say from the start that this should be regarded as speculation only, but I'd be lying if the coincidences here don't give me a reason to smile at least a little bit. Maybe none of this comes to fruition, and maybe I'm just the crazy old Division speculation guy, but it's hard to say that this isn't at least a fun idea to roll around in your head. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts on my wild rabbit hole dive here. Do you think there's any chance this rumor turns out to be true, and Massive have gone back and altered Season 4's ending for the Season 7 rerun? Do you think my crazy outline of a potential marketing strategy for TU13 makes even remote sense? Certainly leave all of your thoughts down below. I'm very curious what everyone will have to say about this one. One more time, I'll shout out for you to all go and follow my TikTok if you're so inclined. It would be very appreciated as I try and expand the RogueGold audience a bit. And yeah, guys, I think that is going to do it for today. Whew. We got through it. Alright, thank you all once again so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.